plan for a resource-based economy in which money doesn't exist and we get to all live abundantly, and it's so possible. I swear, it's so possible. It's so possible.
For a while, we had little plants, and this is hydroponics, aquaponics, aeroponics, and these are open as well.
So this is a floating city, or it's anchored to the floor?
They're anchored. Some can be floated and then anchored by different ways, like balusters full of water or cables to the ground. So the cities would look different depending on what they're for.
So these drawings look like they got bored into these movies like the Avengers and so on, doesn't it?
It gets picked up.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Well, the head animator of the Star Wars series saw our stuff and liked it so much that he did some of Jacques' work. He made some animations of Jacques' work, and we'll show you some of those. But these are monorails going from city to city. That was Doug Drexler. But this was all done by Jeff, the other guy that I was talking about. And then I'll talk about the houses as we walk around, but they're very simple to make. And this is agriculture, indoor, outdoor, multi-decked agriculture, which would all be automated. And I want to mention automated architecture, agriculture. And kind of a total enclosure.
Is most of the technology envisioned mostly already here?
Yeah, we could have done this, Jacques would always say, we could have done this in 1927 when they had prefabrication.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be like it is today, but yes. And in terms of having complete automated, like a governmental system, which I'll talk about, there has to be more developed for that. But this is inside the city, this is a restaurant, and we'll talk about that. When Jacques was on the Larry King Show in 1974, he talked about how food in a restaurant would be automated with a glass table. You punch in what you want. That was before computers. And then the food would be made automatically in the restaurant, and it would come up from the middle, go to whoever ordered, then it would go back down, and the dishes would be cleaned automatically, or you would eat the dishes, as they do have some taco stuff today. But that was your your architect, and then this comes out to be this. But this is the center building in the next project.
So do you design the buildings for the environment, like here, the rounded buildings because of the hurricanes and tornadoes, that type of thing, or are they?
I'll go over that as we walk around,
Okay.
as we see the buildings. That's a good question, yeah. If I miss it, which I don't think I will, let me know. But this is the access arm that goes and picks up the boxes. And different cities.
And what's in these boxes? These are like different goods that you request?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So be anything.
stuff like that, yeah. Or you just pick the goods up off the shelf.
So when you talk to the UN, what is it that you're trying to achieve?
Well, I'm going to introduce this project and what it's for. When I say this project, I mean the next step. I'm not going to go that much into the future, but just our center and how it's different than other people's sustainable projects and what we're trying to accomplish. And these are extruded buildings out of foamed concrete. And they have foamed concrete today, which is lightweight and strong. And I'll talk about this as we walk around, because I'll show you some examples and how Jacques came up with it.
I
And
thought
then
concrete
the
was really
pieces get
expensive to make,
put up here.
energy-wise. No?
No, it's just a different way of forming the concrete, pushing it through.
Does hempcrete fit in anywhere?
Sure, it's not, I don't know who said that, but
Hempcrete.
yeah. No, this is interesting. See the soil being pushed up here. Before Jacques met me, he came up with an automated canal digger. And when and after this goes along, then this comes along, and I'll show you a model of that. And that's kind of like a laser that forms the sand into sort of obsidian, very hard structure. So no labor. But when he learned about climate change and the rising sea levels, he applied it to making canals at the oceans from the rising sea levels to below sea level deserts,
Good.
where we calculated we have twice as much basin area to hold the worst conditions that they're prescribing for climate change, the scientists, for the rising sea levels. So we put this very briefly in our last documentary, and hopefully somebody will copy it and do it, because they're, you know, in Miami, they're doing more pumps to take the water out, and they're allotting more millions to do that as the water is seeping up through the ground, and it's no solution. So,
So this just basically creates canals,
it creates
lowers the
canals.
level, so the water just kind of flows right in?
Yes,
And
yes.
then just reserve the water there?
Well, if you bring it to the deserts, to these basins, yes, you can keep it there, you could use it. And as the canals form clouds, and then it can rain and make the deserts bloom again along the
Sure.
canals. And that's it.
That's pretty clever.
So we'll walk around.
Should I pay for the shower?
Sure, when you
Or
come
do I
back.
go do it?
Either way.